This is a goblet squat to a bench. Now you're gonna have your dumbbell and your bench or something relatively this height. It could be a chair that you're squatting to. Make sure that we pick up this dumbbell with good form, especially as the weight starts to get heavier, okay? So we're gonna have it in this chalice position or goblet position where it's supported under our wrist. Now I'm gonna set up here with my toes pointing straight ahead. Now, if you get into this position and you squat and it doesn't quite feel right, you can turn those toes out slightly. Ideally, if we can keep those toes pointing straight ahead, we're gonna get a little bit more hip mobility. So from here, I've got to get a nice stacked position. So I'm gonna tuck my pelvis slightly. From here, I'm going to inhale on the way down as my knees come forward and my bum comes back. Touch the bench, push down through the bench, feeling the whole foot connected to the ground, stand up tall. Inhale on the way down, knees come forward, bum back, push through the ground. Now notice a couple things. The first one is that my knees are pointing straight ahead. When I say straight ahead, I mean kind of in between that big toe and that second toe is where my knees are pointing straight ahead. We don't want to get into a position where we come up here, okay? So knees are pointing straight ahead. You'll also notice my torso height. In an ideal world, we want to try and keep our torso as upright as possible. If that causes you some discomfort though, I am okay having that torso come forward a bit. Even in my squat, it comes forward a bit. What we don't want to happen is to really dump forward through the torso. We want to try and stay as upright as possible, okay? So from here again, breath in, lower ourselves down, push through the ground, 50 feet into the ground, stand tall. That's one rep. Now, if that's too challenging at that height, you can place some either pads or some yoga blocks, and we're just reducing the amount of hip flexion that you're going into, and we'd set up the exact same way, except now we're just squatting to a little bit less hip flexion, so we're not going quite as low. So in order to progress this, we want to add more weight, more reps, and then eventually we also want to be able to get rid of these pads and make our way further down. Ideally to a point where we can remove the bench completely and we're going through a full range of motion on that squat. So first thing I would probably progress would be reps, then I would increase the weight, then I would reduce the height of what you're squatting to.